two other things that I might mention, and then we'll go on. Number one is the very first political act of Mr. Obama's administration was to choose as Secretary of Treasury one of the biggest banksters in the world, president of the New York Federal Reserve Board.
I voted for Cynthia McKinney, Indy. So I voted for a black woman. I'm not a racist. She also had the bravery to ask the questions to General Myers about the drills, to ask the questions of Donald Rumsfeld where the missing trillions went out of the Pentagon that disappeared in the record keeping, in the attack on the Pentagon. People like Max Cleland. I mean, there were people that stood up in this country after 9/11, and they were attacked, much in the very same way Mr. Obama's people are attacking us now.
And just one other one, Jack, and then we'll move off of this issue, but unless Yuki, of course, has something to respond to it. But Mr. Obama also has a new head of the Department of Homeland Security. And I listened to her speech at the Council on Foreign Relations via podcast. And I challenge anyone to find any sliver of difference between the policy that she enunciated and the policy of her two Republican predecessors appointed by President Bush.
That's right.
Okay, and then Spencer's second question there was, what do you think of the media, what the job that the media is doing in pushing the first responders of 9/11 under the rug? How do you think it is that the media around the world, it seems, can keep these people with firsthand experience of what happened out of the limelight and keep their stories suppressed?
I think that the media has been influenced more by some patrons of the media corporations, and these days the newspapers and commercial TV stations depend more on the commercial sort of films and contributions by the corporations, that the independence of their sort of activities has become less. And in most of the Western countries, including Japan, and therefore, and also the organized forces can operate better for one or two particular issues, such as the 9/11. And unless we did provide very clear evidence in an effective way, our efforts can be fragmented. And I think this is where maybe some sort of coordinated strategies amongst the truth movers of various kinds, the lawyers, engineers, politicians, get together and to have a united strategy to tackle the media of various countries. And if we succeeded in gaining the support by 2 or 3 effective media, I think that would go a long way. But I wonder if there needs some sort of coordinated strategy meeting by the truth groups of various kinds.
Well, that sounds great, and of course what pops into my mind is who better to lead that, or at least to enunciate the need for that broadly, than yourself.
Thank you.
And so, I would like to say that if you should choose to want to put the word out that such a strategy and such a coordination is needed and the time is right for that, I'm sure that Jack and I and our friends in what we call the new media here in the United States would be more than happy than to help you get your word out at any time.
Thank you. Just on 2 points on that, if I may.
Yes.
One, that just exactly 1 year ago, on the 9/11, the year 2008, the film called Zero, which was produced by Juliet Chiesa, a European member of parliament from Italy, who produced this documentary film called Zero on the 9/11. And this film, Zero, was shown nationwide in the leading TV station in Russia. And that was also broadcasted in other former USSR states. So a lot of people watched this film Zero, in Russia and her neighboring countries. Secondly, as I said earlier, that the families of the victims in New York and around New York have collected something like 40 or 50,000 signatures. And they are going to ask the New York mayor or New York City councilors to investigate the 9/11. And if the media could be coordinated to properly cover those efforts in New York, I think that is going to be very important.
Okay, very good. Next callers we have, we're going to go first to Texas 512. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Kevin Smith calling in.
Yes, Kevin, you're on. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, it's so great to hear this show. And Mr. Fujita, I just want to thank you for, and it's refreshing to hear that you hold Dr. Ron Paul in the same esteem that we do here. And I think we'd all be a lot better off in this world if we had men like him leading our various countries. And obviously Japan has that sort of person now. So thank you for all of that. I was an early person in 9/11 and did a lot of work in coordinating. And I have to say, the very first people that came to us to make documentaries that were serious and not hit pieces on 9/11 were the Japanese, and we appreciate that. And my question to you is along the lines of false flag. Since Japan is what I'd call a mature economy, the banksters and the people that like to manipulate economies and start wars are always looking for to blow old ones up and recreate new ones. So you have some emerging economies in your region with China and the Koreas, and what do you think the likelihood or the possibility that there would be a false flag operation in that region that would drag Japan into some sort of a conflict? So that, I hope, is part of the reason that you're exposing 9/11 and the false flag aspect of it, so that you can keep that from happening to you. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, the economies of China and South Korea are coming up, particularly China. And I think China will become the second largest economy in the world quite soon. And also the Chinese military is building up the military capability by a great deal. And these can be sort of threats to Asia and beyond. At the same time, I think the closer relationship between US and Japan and India and some other ASEAN countries, I think in a sense we can sort of cope with the increasing influence of China and coordinated sort of way with the South Korea as well. I think by closer coordination of USA, Europe, and some other Asian countries, I think we can somehow deal with China. Therefore, we do not have to have very sort of extreme effort through sort of false flag operation as you have mentioned.